What's going on, guys? All right, back with another video, trying to get back in the swing of things here. It's not supposed to rain today. Brought a bunch of stuff to do videos on, so hopefully I get a lot of this done and knocked out, and I have videos, several videos for the upcoming foreseeable future. But today's video is about the Staccato CS. And now I wanted one of these for a very long time, but I just couldn't pull the trigger on it, pun intended, because the size did not look that small to me. I had a C2, it just didn't look that much smaller than a C2. Now, I will do a comparison video of this. I'll compare this to the C2. I'll also compare it to what I was carrying for a long time. This may be my new carry pistol, but the my custom 365X, also the AXG 365 Legion, which I was carrying for a minute, but I'll do a full review of that. And then we'll compare it to a few other carry guns in a video in the future. But when I seen this gun and I held it, it was kind of like the X Macro or the 365 Legion. It felt much smaller than it looked in photos. And then I knew I was in trouble because I was fixing to spend a lot of money. But I do have a TLR7X sub light on it. I have a Trijicon RMR. I didn't do the CC. I went with the full size for the bigger window. Then I also bought a tier 1 concealed holster, and these actually, you see them on the internet all the time, and it says they have 15 round magazines, but I don't know if you can see that right there. That says 16. The new ones come with 16s. The old ones, they may have come with 15s, but when the C2, or not C2, but when the C came out, I think it had 16 round magazines. This one may be able to be a little bit more legible. There you go. These have 16 rounders, and I bought like 6 or 7 of these magazines, since I probably am going to be my new carry gun here. But I do need to shoot it side in. We're going to put several hundred rounds through this gun today, to make sure it cycles. This is my carry ammo. It is Federal HST. I'm going to put probably at least 100 rounds of this through it to make sure it will function with HST and not have any hiccups there, because you always want to test your carry ammo to make sure that it will cycle in the pistol that you want to carry it in. But like I said, this thing felt much smaller when I picked it up. I actually seen this, not this in particular pistol. I actually ordered this off the internet from Nagel's Gun Shop and had to send it to my FFL and do my background check, because they actually had this thing on sale. Now, YouTube reviewers, I'm not selling anything. I'm just telling where I found it. But they had this one on sale with the DLC barrel, which is what I wanted. The one at Blackstone did not have the DLC barrel, and it was $200 cheaper. So I just ordered it off there with the flat trigger, and it came in, and I've been pretty happy ever since. Because I got to say, I talk about pointability in pistols a lot. And every time that I have threw this thing up, the sights have just been right there. I mean, it's crazy how in line with my eye these sights are when I bring this gun up. I mean, it's just stupid. Now, this is the 2024 version. It is designated by CS24. And I do want to say that really the biggest difference, and this is straight from Staccato, the frame right here sits even with the slide. The 23 versions, the frame was recessed a little bit. I think this one, my P, yeah, you can see my P right here is recessed just a little bit. And that is how the CSs were in 23. And for some odd reason, I'm not sure if it was for rigidity or what it may be, but they actually made the frame flush with the slide. So when you go to order holsters, you need to make sure that you're ordering it for your gun. If you bought it used and you have a 23 version, you'll need to order a holster for 2023 version. If you bought it new, more than likely, unless it's just been sitting there forever, it's a 24 version, and you'll need to order a holster for the 24 version. Now, I want to say, when I was looking for holsters, I found companies, and I like the sidecar style with the shot cord on it, so it kind of gives around your body. I found companies that only made 23 models, and like tier 1 only made 24 models. So it may be a little difficult to find a 23 model. That is the main reason I want to go with 24, because the aftermarket stuff, like just holsters mainly, is going to be much easier to find in the future, because I think people will start phasing out the 23s because why would they keep making them when they're not making the pistol anymore? So the older that 23 version gets, the less likely you're going to be able to find holster compatibility for it. Now, one thing I do like what they did, this is just kind of an overview. They actually made this kind of flush with the frame, and they recessed this as well. The button, the little side nub to push the takedown lever and the slide stop out. I think that is a cool feature. There again, it's kind of difficult to get this out. You have to have something to kind of punch it out with and remove it, but that is a cool feature. There is a little ledge right here. I thought about putting like a mag well on this, but after I felt that ledge, I was like, I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just going to keep it as is. As far as fitting my hand, I wear like a large hand. I got really long fingers, and this thing fits like a glove. It is amazing. But enough talk, let me load up some magazines. We're going to put a few rounds through it. I'll give you my first initial thoughts of it, because I've heard a lot of people say that these shoot really flat. They shoot more like a full-size pistol. Then I'll probably sight the optic in off camera, and we'll come back on and put several more 100 rounds through it, and then I'll kind of give you my final thoughts on this. And I'm sure there'll be a 1,000 round update eventually. I'm not going to do 1,000 rounds a day, because I only brought 1,000 rounds, and I have a lot of pistols that I want to make some videos on. So we'll probably do 400 or 500 rounds through this day. But let me get some magazines loaded up. We'll be right back. Okay, guys, I just kind of wanted to show you what we're going to be using today. I've got some Federal 124 grain full metal jacket. I got some Blazer Brass 124 grain full metal jacket. Some American Eagle 124 grain full metal jacket. I got some Remington 115 grain full metal jacket. Then I have quite a bit of the HST that I'll be sighting my gun in finally for, because this is what I shoot all the time. I have some SIG ammo. It is 115 grain hollow point. I have 147 grain Winchester PDX-1 and 124 grain Remington Golden Saber. And here's some more of the HST, and I think I even have another box of HST in there. So that's what we're going to be putting through this. And again, we'll sight it in initially with like probably just this Federal, just to get it in the ballpark. I'll shoot some rounds through it and see if we have any malfunctions with any ball ammo, because we have malfunctions with ball ammo. I'm not going to waste my HST, but once I get it sighted in with this, we'll do the final sight in with HST. Okay, guys, one more thing I want to talk about before we shoot is it is a little difficult to get 16 rounds in this magazine. Now, the magazines that I've been had loaded just sitting in the guns, they have broken in really nicely, and it's not hard to get 16 rounds in them. It's not hard to get those magazines in the gun. Like if you load one, take the magazine out and retop it off to get 16 rounds. This is a brand new magazine. You kind of have to take the top of the gun, make sure it's pointed away from you, push it, and you heard it click in. That is tight. So be aware that the new magazines is really tight. They are really tight. And but after about a week or so, the other ones broke in. This is one that's broke in. It has 16 rounds. You can see the round right there went right in, no problem. So don't think that because it has 16 rounds and you can't get in. Load your magazine, set it in the gun, put it back in the safe. Don't put one in the chamber, nothing, but just let it set with pressure on the spring. You might even be able to load them and just leave them just sitting there, more than likely, if I was guessing. But they do break in nicely, and then after a week or two, you'll be able to put the magazine in the gun with little effort. I mean, the other magazine was pretty easy overall. I just wanted to let you guys know that, because that is something I run into, and I was like, my gosh, I hope these things break in, and they do. All right, guys, got 17 rounds loaded in the gun. I did that because I wanted to make sure that it would feed and it would cycle okay with that extra pressure on it from the 16th round in the magazine. But here's first shots of the Staccato CS. All right, guys, first initial impression, the gun feels like it's shooting left, and these sights aren't adjustable, actually. So we're going to have to look at that a little bit, but it shoots really flat. It does shoot like a full-size handgun. There's not a lot of recoil in it, but I'm definitely shooting that left. It could be me. I've not shot but once in that last video, in probably 6 or 7 months, or give or take. But usually on 2011s, I'm a little more accurate than that. Let me go off camera, sight this optic in. I just want to put 4 or 5 rounds through it to talk about the recoil. And the recoil is none, really. I mean, it's very, very minimal. But let me get this optic sighted in, and we'll come back and put several hundred rounds through it. But first initial impression, just 4 or 5 rounds. It's flat shooter. It's flat. All right, guys, so I'm up to probably about 50, 60, 70, 80. We're getting close to the 100 round mark. No issues at all. So I got it all sighted in. I just got carried away and just kept shooting and shooting because this thing just shoots so flat and so good. So this would probably be a little over 100 if I was guessing. Counting these, we're probably at getting close to about 106 right here, round count. The dot is working great. I have had an issue with Trijicon RMRs in the past, but this one seems to be working just fine. All right, guys, just broke the 100 round mark. We'll go down here and take a look at the target. I mean, I started shooting a little fast there at the end, but we'll go down here and take a look at it. It's actually pretty good. I mean, I'm shooting from about 12-ish yards. I got a little carried away when I was shooting fast, but most everything else went right in here with a couple little flyers right there. The gun is amazing. It's awesome. It is definitely going to be my new carry gun if it keeps this up with no malfunctions. There again, I've watched a lot of videos on these before I bought it. Guys shooting like, I can't remember, I think it was 3,000 rounds they put through this gun and had 8 malfunctions, and it wasn't nothing crazy. One of them come within the first 8 rounds. I definitely didn't experience that. I don't know if that particular gun they had was a 23 or a 24 model. But for mine, I did lube this. It is a 2011. I wanted to take care of it because if you're curious, the way this gun sits right here, the gun itself was $2,400. They're normally 26 something. The optic was 500-ish. The plate, you have to buy a plate for these. It was, give or take, about a $125, I think it was. And then the optic is another $130, $40, something like that. It does get pretty carboned up, but it does set pretty flush, or basically very flush, with the end of the pistol. Now, like most Staccatos, this thing is just buttery smooth. But I will say this, after 100 rounds, it's pretty warm. And I mean, that's normal for guns, but it might be a little bit hotter than a normal gun. I don't know why that would be, but I do want to show you it does have like a fluted barrel. That's pretty awesome. I like the way they did this up here, and they put these grooves in there so that, in the video I watched, the guy had something to do with Staccato, like they sent him guns to make holsters for or something like that. And he said that was for oil. You could oil that and it would drain down into the slide rails. To me, it looks like it'd be more for like being able to get dirt out of the slide, but I don't know. But let's load this up, shoot a few more rounds. All right, guys, the last rounds was Federal 124. This is Blazer Brass 124. The neighbors are hating me today. So I did fly a couple of them. I got a little quick. You got to know your limits. I got a couple away right here, but I was shooting for the head on this one, and everything was in this head zone right here, shooting pretty quick. This one still got him in the neck. This one was a liability shot. So be aware. You always want to know that when you're carrying a gun for self-defense, and this is why we do this. I've not shot a ton. So if you have to use your gun in self-defense, know your limits, because this bullet right here could have cost you some jail time, because you are liable for that bullet until it stops. So make sure that you know your limits and do things like this to learn your limits. I used to be able to shoot a little bit faster when I was doing this more often, but make sure you learn your limits. and know your cadence as to what you can fire. And in a stressful situation, that may not come back to you. You may get a little, trigger happy, but make sure you train and know your cadence to what your limits are so that you don't fly a shot like that when shots actually matter. Okay guys, this is the American Eagle. I have shot all this through here. I shot several rounds of this through here off camera when I was sighting it in. But this is the American Eagle. It's not had any issue with any of this ammo. The only thing I didn't fire was the Remington 115, but we'll get to that after this. All right, guys, there was the federal, or not federal, but the American Eagle 124, and that last magazine I shot was the Remington 115 grain. The gun's just running. It's just running. We've went through, there's getting close to getting the end of these two boxes. Once we get the end of these two boxes, it'll probably be getting close to 200 rounds-ish, or just 10 rounds short of it or something. But we're getting real close considering everything we've shot. I think what I'm going to do now, or I'll probably at least get 200 rounds through it. And at the 200 round mark, I think that's when I'll actually sight it in for the federal HST that I'm going to actually be carrying. And the zero will probably be off a little bit with like the 124 grain, I would imagine, once I get that sight in, because I imagine the pressures are different with that hollow point, and hollow point, well, it may have to sight in just a little bit different, and that is getting extremely warm. I threw my thumb up there and I was like, yow. I imagine the zero will be off just a little bit, but you want your gun zeroed for the ammo you're going to be carrying. All right, so I'm going to stop recording right here. I'm going to get my 200 rounds through it, because I don't think you just want to watch me just sit here and shoot 200 rounds. If I have any malfunctions in this 200 rounds, I'll turn the camera back on and show you my malfunctions that I have, if I have any. I don't predict I'll have any, but if I do, I will turn the camera back on and show it to you. I will definitely turn the camera back on and sight in the 124, because I want you all to see if I have any issues shooting jacketed hollow points. Again, one thing I do love about this gun, I do want to show you this. It has an American flag. All Staccatos have that on them, and I love that. And it's actually facing the right direction, going towards the fight. Good on Staccato for putting that on there. I think every American gun manufacturer should put an American flag on their gun like that. I don't know why they don't. We should be proud to be Americans, regardless of your politics. You should be a proud American and want this country to flourish and do its best. And I think gun manufacturers, especially as rough a time as they have fighting politicians that try to take our 2A rights away, I think they should put that on there just as kind of like a FU in the face of those people, saying, hey, we're Americans, we have this right, and we're going to represent. See you in a minute. All right, guys, before I sighted this in for my hollow point carry ammo, I wanted to show you this. I do this a lot of videos. If you look way down there beside the paper target, we're right at 40 yards, 44-ish yards. And I always like to see how these things shoot at like a little bit of a distance and see if I can hit that still target. That still target is actually a little bit smaller than a human torso. It's probably 2 or 3 inches smaller on each side than a human torso, and the head on it's only like this big. I mean, it's a tiny little target, not tiny, but smaller than a torso. So I always take 10 rounds and see what I can do at 40 yards and see how I can hit it. Now with the C2, I can bang that 10 out of 10 times, but let's see what we can do with the CS. This thing actually shoots just as good, if not better, than the C2, but let's take a look at it. So if my ears didn't deceive me, that was 7 out of 10. I want to try that again. I think I can do a little better. I felt myself pull a couple of those shots. We're going to do it one more time. I do want to say I don't like this iPro. I don't know where my normal iPro is. It was raining real hard that one day when I left, and I don't know what happened to it. But it is gone, so I have to wear this because I didn't realize it was gone until I got over here. Not making excuses, but this fogs up pretty bad because it don't have a lot of openness on the sides like my other one did. May get my work safety glasses out of the car and see if that does better. But I don't like these. So let me load up 10 more rounds. We'll try this again. All right, guys, new safety glasses, same 40 yards. See what we can do. Yeah, it was just getting a little difficult to see out of those glasses the way they're fogged up. I don't know if they're as good as the ones I normally use, but they stayed, at least they didn't fog up. 10 out of 10 shots, I figured I could do that the way this thing was running. So let's go back up here, probably put another 30, 40 rounds through it. We'll probably be at 200 at that point, and then we'll go ahead and sight in for the Federal HST. All right, guys, we just broke the 200 round. Here's 4 empty boxes. And then here is a few out of the 115s. I didn't shoot a lot of 115s. It didn't malfunction with them, but I didn't shoot a bunch of them. And you can see we're in the 17 round mark of the HST. So we're well over 200 rounds now, probably about 216 rounds. No malfunctions, no hiccups. It doesn't feel sluggish. The thing is running like a champ. So it is time to sight it in with the HST. I'm just curious to see, I may shoot like 5 rounds or so just to see where this is grouping at versus 124. I know each gun's gonna be different, but I'm just curious how much different like 124 target ammo and I believe this is 147 grain HST, how much different that is. I know it should be some different, but we're only at like 12 yards, and that's about 10 to 12 yards is where I sight in my self-defense pistol at, because most of the time, if you are going to be in a self-defense situation, you're probably going to be within 7 yards. So I sight mine in for about 10 to 12 yards, but you've seen even at that distance, at 42, 44 yards, I can still hit a smaller than human torso metal plate. So you can still make hits out to 45, 50 yards or further with a 10 to 12 yard zero. I am getting quite a bit of carbon on my hand, so I guess this thing does throw up some carbon down my arm, I mean. So, but anyway, let's get this thing loaded up, see how it sights in. Okay, guys, now I did go ahead and put 17 rounds in this gun, and for a gun this small, 17 rounds is a lot. But I did go ahead and put 17 because that was the way I'll be carrying it, and I wanted to see if that extra tension on it with a hollow point would cause any issues. These glasses are starting to fog up too. Sucks. I can't see out of these. It is so humid over here, I can't see out of those. I am shooting a little bit left with that ammo. This is not a good group. I'm not going to brag about this at all. I did get one bullseye. I did get, a few over here, and I had a couple flyers. But those last couple shots, I couldn't see. It's just crazy over here in North Carolina how much humidity there is. And if you all know any tricks to stop these from fogging up, I would greatly appreciate it, because it gets to where you can't even hardly see out of them. But let me get this thing sighted in, and I'll be back, and we'll put 50 to 100 rounds ish of hollow points through this and see if they run all right. That's pitiful, but I just can't see. All right, guys, I thought I brought another box of HST, but apparently I didn't. So this is what's left of the 50 rounds. We got it sighted in good. It didn't take long. I just get carried away shooting and just enjoy doing it. So sometimes I just lose track of what I'm doing and that I'm not putting it on camera. But we do have 10 more rounds. We're back here at 40, I may have said 50, but we're at like 42, 44 yards. And we're going to see how accurate this HST is at 40 yards, 44 yards, and see if we can hit that steel target down there 10 out of 10 times like we did the 124 grain federal. All right, guys, I think that's where I'm gonna cut this video off. I'm still gonna shoot some more rounds through this little gun, just getting used to the trigger and stuff like that. But we're well into like the 265, 70 round mark. No hiccups at all. It put 50 rounds of federal HST through it. No issues. 40 yards, 44 yards, we can still make hits on a target with no issue at all. This little gun shoots amazingly. Now, it is not cheap. Like I said, you're $3,500-ish, $3,300-ish into something like this. So this is an investment, but with the accuracy you get out of this little gun and the performance you get out of this little gun and as flat as it shoots, if you have the budget for it, I recommend picking one of these up. I really do. Time will tell if I have any issues, but at 270-ish rounds, I am highly impressed with this thing. It's hard for me to say that I'm going to quit carrying my SIG 365X because I love that gun. I custom built that gun. I put everything in it I wanted to put in it, like SIG's custom fire control unit. And but this is just something else. And I think it's worth the money if you have it and you have it to spare. Now again, there are guns that are way cheaper than this. If this isn't in the budget, don't just run out and put yourself in a bind and buy one of these just because Gear Runner said it's an amazing pistol. It is. But if it's in the budget, I highly recommend it. If it ain't, 365s are amazing guns, and I carried one forever. But if you see me out, this is probably what's going to be in my waistband for the foreseeable future until Staccato or someone else comes out with something better. I always want to carry what's best for me. Everything is different for everyone. You know, your pistol that you love and you shoot great may not be the same one that I shoot great, but most people that shoot 2011s love them. These guns, like the P that I had over there I showed you earlier, are made for like duty use and stuff like that. There are a lot of law enforcement agencies that carry Ps, and they just perform, and this is no different, and this shoots about as flat as my Staccato P does, and I just love this little gun, and now I definitely have no regrets purchasing this little thing. Again, I appreciate you guys watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that like button. It really does help. Subscribe, it's free. I've got a lot more videos coming out. I've got a lot more videos to do today, so there'll be a lot coming out over the next few weeks. I love you guys. We'll see you next time.